Who has not heard of a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a Velociraptor? Thanks to movies like Jurassic Park, when we think of dinosaurs, we almost all think of a very small subset of these giant creatures from history, but perhaps more interesting are those which are far less familiar to us all. This list is just a small selection of monstrous or weird-looking creatures from ancient times, most of which are little known to the public. 10. Astomenosuchus. Astomenosuchus is one of the most bizarre-looking prehistoric monsters. It belonged to the group of the Dinocephalians, and despite their dinosaur-like appearance, they were actually more closely related to mammal. Astomenosuchus was the size of a rhinoceros, and it too had a horn on its nose, but it also had antler-like horns on the top of its head and strange, bony protrusions coming out of its cheeks. No one knows what they were used for. It also had a set of monstrous, sharp teeth, but scientists aren't sure about its food preferences. Personally, I believe this thing was big and scary enough to eat anything it wanted. Fossil remains of Astomenosuchus have been found in Russia. It lived in the Permian period, long before the appearance of dinosaurs. 9. Epygeon. Epygeon could well be described as a giant pit bull on steroids. It was a member of the Canidae or dog family, but whereas modern-day canids are built for speed and endurance, Epygeon was built for brute strength, and its jaws so powerful that they could crush bone as if they were crackers. This beast ruled the plains of North America for 15 million years, before it was replaced by big cats. 8. Gorgonopsid. This creature has earned some popularity recently thanks to the British sci-fi show Primeval, where it was the very first monster to appear. Although real-life gorgonopsids were a tad smaller than the TV version, they were just as terrifying. As a matter of fact, they were the dominant predators during the late Permian, before dinosaurs and their relatives took over. Gorgonopsids had a set of deadly saber teeth, which came handy when hunting some of the largest Permian herbivores, often the size of rhinos or bigger. They were quite agile and could probably run quite fast, unlike the predators that came before them. Despite their reptilian appearance, gorgonopsids were actually closely related to mammals, and it is even possible that they were covered in fur. 7. Terrorbird. Terrorbirds were the top predators in South America and parts of North America during the Miocene, Pliocene and early Pleistocene periods, before they were replaced by big cats and other carnivorous mammals. They were unable to fly but could run very fast and were very large. The largest species could grow up to 3 meters tall and weigh up to half a ton. Their main weapon was their head, which could be up to 1 meter long, allowing them to swallow prey as large as a dog in one single gulp. However, thanks to the hooked tip of the bill, similar to that of eagles and hawks, the terrorbirds could kill and devour prey much larger than a dog, including horses, camels, etc. 6. Therosaurus. Therosaurus was a gigantic caiman that lived in what is today known as the Amazonian rainforest. Back in Therosaurus days, 8 million years ago, that region was actually a vast inland sea teeming with crocodiles, gharials, freshwater whales, giant rodents and enormous turtles. Therosaurus was the top predator in that sea, and with good reason. At 12 to 15 meters long, maybe more, it was one of the largest crocodilians ever to have existed. The remains of other animals missing limbs or bitten in half are a macabre proof of this giant caiman's appetite. 5. Entelodon. Although pigs, wild boars and warthogs today are known to eat meat on occasion, they are basically vegetarian. On the other hand, the entelodon, a prehistoric pig relative, was a full-time carnivore and possibly one of the most monstrous-looking mammals ever. Standing on all fours, this beast was as tall as a man, and had an immense head armed with powerful jaws and sharp teeth. Scientists believe that it was able to hunt live prey, but that it also scared other predators away from their kills. Its bite marks also suggest that it fought viciously with its own kind, and it is even possible that entelodons were cannibalistic. Entelodons were quite successful beasts, existing for about 9 million years. 4. Azhdarchid. Azhdarchids were a kind of pterosaur, which included the largest flying creatures ever to have existed. Some of them had wingspans of 12 to 15 meters, making them as large as a small plane. But what makes azhdarchids really strange are their body proportions. They had ridiculously long legs, necks and beaks, and very small bodies, as well as relatively short wings. Scientists believe that they did not hunt on the wing, but rather walked on the ground hunting for any animal they could catch and swallow whole. That included dog-sized, perhaps even man-sized creatures. Standing on all fours, the largest azhdarchids were as tall. 3. Xenosmilus. Since the formidable Smilodon is too well known, we have decided to go for a refreshing change. Enter Xenosmilus, possibly the nastiest feline ever to have existed. The remains of this very large cat were recently found in Florida, along with the remains of many unlucky giant peccaries that fell prey to it. Instead of strangling prey or breaking their neck as lions do, or stabbing them as the saber-toothed tiger did, Xenosmilus acted more like a shark or a carnivorous dinosaur, biting off a huge chunk of flesh and causing massive blood loss and shock in a matter of seconds. Compared to modern-day felids, a Xenosmilus kill would probably be extremely bloody. Since we don't know when exactly Xenosmilus became extinct, we can't tell if humans ever met this cat. 2. Megalodon. This is a fairly well-known prehistoric monster, but it is just so big and scary that it deserves to be in this list. Megalodon was a gigantic shark, closely related to today's makos and great whites. It could grow up to 20 meters long and weigh up to 60 tons, being almost 6 times larger than Tyrannosaurus rex. Obviously, the only thing in the sea big enough to feed Megalodon were whales, and indeed, the giant shark's bite marks have been found in the fossil remains of whales all around the world. Although many people like to imagine encounters between Megalodon and T-Rex, or dinosaur-like marine reptiles, the truth is Megalodon appeared long after the extinction of such creatures, and it was not seen alive by any humans either, although it was still roaming the oceans when our Australopithecine relatives took their first steps out of the jungle. 1. Spinosaurus. When Jurassic Park 3 was released in 2001, many people complained that the beloved lawyer-eating T-Rex had been replaced with a made-up dinosaur. In reality, Spinosaurus did exist, and it was indeed bigger than T-Rex. The remains of this enormous predator were found in Egypt in 1915, and the paleontologist who studied them was already convinced that it was bigger than T-Rex. However, this couldn't be proved as the fossils were sadly destroyed in a bombing during World War II. Recently, new fossils have been found, and Spinosaurus was finally declared to be the largest carnivorous dinosaur of all times. This beastie could grow up to 17 or 18 meters long, weigh up to 10 tons, and had a sail on its back taller than an adult man. Its long crocodile-like snout suggests that it spent a long time in the water, and possibly ate lots of fish, but also crocodiles, giant turtles, and any dinosaur unlucky enough to cross its path. Even though T-Rex will probably always be the most popular prehistoric monster of all times, Spinosaurus is and remains the largest predator ever to walk the earth that we know of.